YouTube, what's the deal? It's your girl Jahira, and I am back to give you my very first recap of season 9 of Project Runway. I'm super excited to be able to bring this to y'all. I have been so passionate about Project Runway ever since it got started. You know, those who can do and those who can't watch. I couldn't design something if you loaded a gun and cocked it to my head, but baby, I could promise you I know what fashion looks like when I see it. I was really worried in the very beginning that the switch and the move from Bravo to Lifetime was going to be the death of the show. But truth be told, it really hasn't. People are still all into Heidi Klum. People are still loving, and who wouldn't love Tim Gunn? And people are still all into, like everybody, honest to God. It's a fantastic show. I really hope you are catching it. And I'm letting you know now, there will be a spoiler alert in this video. So if you haven't caught the episode, run. Do not walk, run, watch the episode. So, getting right into it, y'all. The show started with sort of a behind-the-scenes look at how the casting is done, hosted by the legendary, everybody's favorite gay white man, Tim Gunn. Love him, love him, love him. I'm a huge fan. And they really did give us an inside scoop into how these people are selected. We saw auditions from truly talented, promising people, and then we saw people that needed to, well, I don't know if it's either hang it up or hang themselves, but it's one of the two, definitely. I was really entertained by it. It lasted for an hour, and then we jumped right into the action. So, out of the 20 people that had initially been selected for phase 1, 4 knocked off top. Didn't even get a chance to walk somebody down like it was, I mean, immediate. So we were left with 16. Now the challenge for those top 16 was essentially they were rolled out of bed, dragged out of bed, I should be saying, at like 5 in the morning in their pajamas, and brought down to Bryant Park, brought to the workroom. We're told to bring the sheet that they had slept in with them, and out of their pajamas and one fitted sheet, they had to construct an outfit. They had to design something that would be shown down the runway for the challenge portion of the show. I was gagging. I was lost in the sauce. I really was like, it takes a specific kind of individual to look at, like, you know, a tank top and boxer shorts and one sheet that you sleep in and say to yourself, yeah, this is an outfit waiting to be born. They were given a whole bunch of tools to use. They were given fabric dyes. They were given, you know, paillettes and all kinds of accessories that could be used in the construction of that outfit. But again, it had to be done using the one flat sheet and whatever they were wearing at the time. Now, at this point, I can introduce you to some of the people that we were going to be seeing this season. People like Joshua, who was wearing, I want to say, it was a pair of sweatpants. I believe it was a t-shirt, and he had his sheet. Somebody like Anya. People watch for Anya. Anya is from Trinidad, and her audition was for the show in and of itself. The construction of her clothing is so impeccable, and her lines are not to be played with. Please keep an eye on her, because I definitely will be. Then we had Raphael. How does one explain Raphael? If Andre 3000 from Outkast was a power bottom, that would be Raphael. Raphael was sporting this sassy, bold kind of bob cut situation upon his head, and he was just, I mean, just real reminiscent of Andre 3000. Very extra, we'll say that. Incredibly extra. Somebody like Julie, who's kind of meek and kind of mild, but could be a threat later on in the game. We shall see, we shall see. Then we have Anthony, who is a self-taught designer to the best of my knowledge, and he's completely colorblind. Remember I said that, because it will come up in a couple of minutes. Anthony is colorblind, y'all. And then we had Bert. Please remember I said the name Bert. I'll be talking about him in just a couple of seconds. But Bert's story is unbelievable and so inspirational to me. It always goes out when I don't need it to, y'all. Bert is 57. Bert is from LA. And Bert is sort of reborn in the world of designing. See, back in the 70s, y'all, Bert used to design under Halston. And if you have any idea of fashion or that era, the name Halston should have just given you chills, because I promise that's what it did to me. And Bert's lover was diagnosed as HIV positive, which later developed into AIDS, of which he died from AIDS-related complications. He also lost a couple of other friends to the virus, and it really did kind of take the wind out of his desire to be a designer, until very recently when, as a result of a conversation with an old friend who offered to buy him a sewing machine and everything that he needed to pick it back up, his fire got reignited, and now he is a contender in the competition. So getting back to everything, y'all, once again, they had to design using a flat sheet and using just whatever they had on at the time that they were forced to get out of bed and come straight to the studio. So we saw major construction happening, a lot of dyeing of fabrics, a lot of, for lack of a better way to put it, pulling shit out of our ass, to be honest, because that's just kind of what it was. Anthony was wearing this tank top that was black with this yellow, really bold horizontal stripes. And what Anthony did was cover those stripes in black paneling and then add appliques to them to give it a lace effect. It went over incredibly well. So let's get right into the runway show since we're here. The runway show pops off, a bunch of people are safe, and then we have the ones that are left. We've got Joshua, Anya, Bert, Raphael, Julie, and Anthony. These represent the highest scores and the lowest scores. Now, Anthony, as I said, when he covered those stripes in paneling and threw on that fun, really classic, a little bit short skirt, but I mean, absolutely, I mean, really went over well. I was blown away when you consider the materials that he had to work with. And then you had Julie. Julie had a very bold, I can't call it bold, a very loud shirt with some, what I consider to be very boring pants. So I mean, it wasn't a great moment for Julie, I have to be honest with you. And then, let's see, we've got Anya. Anya from Trinidad. You know, I can almost forgive the fact that Anya sort of has the Cassie cut, like it's mohawk on both sides, but I mean, just massive amounts of hair on top. Really lovely hair. I think I would have screamed if I had shaved my head like that, but I'm digressing. Anya had never ever, mind you, she is a self-taught designer who has only been sewing for about 5 months, as I recall. Anya had never made a pair of pants, and Anya decided to turn her kimono-style nightshirt into a beautifully constructed halter top. And she made a pair of pants after having dyed her sheet, and she constructed a pair of pants after having never made them before. Now, I have to tell you, I know I just repeated that like 6 times. I have got to tell you, it takes a specific kind of chick to not only decide to make a pair of pants for the first time, but to make a pair of pants for the first time that are A, going to be judged, and B, that the whole world is going to see. I thought it was a hugely courageous move. It was a very big risk, and it paid off. Christina Ricci was the special guest judge, along with Nina Ricci, no relation, I don't think. Of course, Michael Kors and Heidi Klum. And Christina Ricci was berserk for both Anya's top and her pants, as was I. Absolutely gorgeous. It could not have been pulled off better, in my humble opinion. And then, of course, we've got Joshua. Joshua had a pair of sweatpants, and I want to say a shirt, and of course his sheet. And he turned that into he made a pair of pants. I'll start there. I really was impressed with his top, with his blouse. Like, I really did like that. But he made a pair of pants, and y'all, the first thing I said to myself when I looked at them was like, you know, it's clear that a man made those pants because no woman in their right mind would have made a pair of pants that high in the crotch. They're vagina pants, people. Like, honestly, if you walk here from the corners, ladies, I'm sorry. And if anybody sees this, I apologize in advance, but you know I'm going to tell it like it is. Anybody walk to the corner store in that pair of pants, they're going to come back with 2 bottles of soda, a pack of cigarettes, a stick of chewing gum, and a yeast infection. Like, that's really what it's giving with these pants. It was not a good look whatsoever, and it did inevitably put him in the bottom 2. And then we move on, y'all, to Bert. Now I can talk about Bert. Bert is the one, like, right now he is my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. He is absolutely my favorite. An incredible designer. He has got such an eye for how to fit a woman's body and how to make her look stunning. Now, Michael Kors did mention, and I do agree with him, that the styling Bert had done, as far as the hair and the makeup that he had used on his model, was dated. And you're right, Michael. You're absolutely right. The reality of the situation is, you know, he's from an era where everything was excessive. I mean, the shoes and the dress and the bag and the makeup and the hair. It was all about opulence at that time, and he hasn't quite adapted, that we've seen so far, a minimalist approach to really let his work sing and the features of the model kind of fade into the background just a little. You know what I mean? There's got to be a sense of cohesion, a sense of balance there that he hasn't quite found yet, but I have every confidence that he will. I am head over heels in love with this man's work. Please keep your eye on him, y'all. And incidentally, Bert did win the challenge. I was ecstatic. His story, I mean, I was almost in tears. Like, it was so touching to me. So happy for him. So we can only see what he's going to bring on in the weeks to come, but I'm sure it's going to be something incredible. I've got my eye on you, Bert. Make me proud. I'm so dead ass. And of course we did get down to the bottom 2. Oh, and so I haven't mentioned the other person that was in the bottom 2 yet, and that, my dears, was Raphael. Raphael, my dear sweet, gayer than Richard Simmons on roller skates, Andre 3000 throwaway. I love you dearly, but yes, he was in the bottom 3, y'all. The issue was that Raphael had his pajamas together. He had a top and he had a bottom. However, he had a headscarf. Why? Because you don't want to sweat out your perm in the hot New York's heat. So, the issue was that, you know, he wasn't incorporating his headscarf into his garment. It was an animal print headscarf. And he didn't want to take his headscarf off at the time of the studio because, in his words, his hair looked a wreck. So the headscarf became an afterthought, with which he made a necklace. An animal print fabric necklace. Need I say more? Michael Kors compared it to something out of the Flintstones, and I absolutely do not argue with him. I couldn't agree with him more. It was a tragic state of affairs. I would have wanted to hang myself by that necklace. And so, needless to say, he was in the bottom 2. And at the very end of it all, Raphael, our dear sweet friend of Dorothy, is the one who had to go home. So I will be tuning in next week. I pray that you will be tuning in next week. We're gonna get this thing popping, y'all. Project Runway Season 9 on Lifetime. I'm so excited. And I think that next week it's gonna be some stuff, because somebody said they think they're designing for dogs. Y'all, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Until next time, YouTube, I am out of here. And as always, one love. One love in Mo fashion.